Sometimes you do not have the authority to implement a company-wide process, and that can be frustrating and lead to burnout. That's okay. Instead, focus on the things into which you can embed process. After all, there are some process items in your control no matter what it is that you do, things such as how you spend your time and what you prioritize, or things such as how you execute a particular job and how and when you follow up. No matter what it is that you do, creating process will enable you to establish a rhythm in which creativity can shine. My small business friends from earlier in this chapter had a rudimentary basic process. Again, you can have a decent process but still not achieve the full potential of your creator mindset because getting one or two things right is still touching on only a fraction of your available creative potential. In this case, their rudimentary process was fine while they were still small, but could not keep up with the demands of growth. Intake paperwork had to be hand-typed into a computer each time a customer pulled in, even if it was a returning customer. Also, standard service items such as brakes and oil changes were performed differently by each mechanic, with no consistency. There was no standard process, no rhythm. Consistency is key to enabling the customer experience process to be predictable and helps build the identity of who you are and why it is you are worth doing business with. Number 3, product. The third P deals with product, what it is that you really execute. Like most things in this book, it may seem obvious at first. However, it's counterintuitive because after so much time and immersion in the analytical world, we often have knee-jerk reactions to what we think we get paid for. We are blind to what our product or service really does in its entirety. Without looking at it with a creator mindset, we are seeing only half of what we do. Can you imagine driving a car while seeing only half the road, or playing chess with only half the pieces? That is exactly what you are doing with your business if you don't look at the entire picture of your product or service with creativity. For example, if you are in the manufacturing business and make parts with tolerances that are military grade, are you a parts manufacturer? At first, it may seem so, but that is the analytical view only. When this view is combined with the creative side of the brain, what you really do is provide a trusted and vetted part to someone who is in need of a highly specialized component. Sure, you make parts, but in a way, you are in the trust business. Trust is your product, not manufacturing. Think back to the trinity of creativity to really capture your product. If your career calls you to be a nurse, you may think that your duties are to take temperatures and make sure the charts are updated with intake paperwork and the like. It may be easy to see your role as a series of care-based executions that you perform. At first, it may seem that indeed that is what you do, but that is the analytical only view. When you look at it creatively, a whole new world begins to emerge that drives meaning into the product of your career. I would argue that most nurses are in the business of communication, being able to talk to patients so that they understand what is going on and being the glue of the patient's journey. Sure, you may take temperatures or engage in some care, but in a way, you really are in the communication business. Viewed creatively, communication is your career product as a nurse, not taking temperatures or updating charts. Defining your product, whether it's what you do as a career or what your business provides, opens up a universe of creative potential. It allows you to come up with a creative definition of what it is you do, and in that creative definition, you open up a world of possibility. In a career, that may manifest as a raise or a promotion or the redefinition of your role as something exciting, new, or different. It will allow you to uncover new truths that have been unseen and make you a valuable asset to any organization. In a business, this creative product definition will enable shocking growth as you energize the direct core of the meaning of your product or service with the audience that consumes it. To continue with the example from the opening of this chapter, the small business didn't fully understand its product. They understood some parts of it and did very well with a few parts of it, but didn't understand their business as a whole, leading them to achieve only a fraction of their creative potential. They especially didn't fully understand their creative meaning. Was it fixing cars? Doing scheduled maintenance on parts subject to wear and tear? Putting extra air in the tires? Looking at it creatively, I'd say no. This business catered to people who wanted to own fancy cars at a reasonable cost. They were in the business of enabling the dream of supercar ownership without expensive maintenance for people who couldn't otherwise afford to own and maintain a fancy car. Sure, they fixed cars, but their product was enabling dream car ownership for people who otherwise could not afford it. Number 4. Profit. Finally, we have the fourth P, which deals with profit. A true derivative of getting the other 3 P's right, it is the last milestone toward realizing the fruits of your labor. No matter how much creativity you embed in an organization or career, if there is no profit left over at the end of the day, you have not created a meaningful goal. It's important to pause here and talk a little about profit and how it is analytically perceived in general. It is sometimes a difficult topic because profit is seen as greed and therefore something that is not worth our effort. But when we look at it creatively, all this talk about greed begins to unravel. When one looks at profit creatively, an altruistic view begins to emerge. Profit allows you, whether in a business or in a career, to spend money on something you deem important. I delivered a keynote at an annual sales gathering of a company that donated 10% of its profits to employee-chosen charities. How awesome is that? I met a Fortune 100 company executive who gave roughly half his salary to cancer research. How amazing! Would you qualify that as being greedy or doing something that is not worth pursuing? I doubt it. Being able to do these things is a worthwhile and important matter that has its root in profit. After all, if there is no money left over to do things with, charity, buying something, etc., our contribution to society at large has been cut short. Far too often, profit gets bogged down with antiquated analytical views of it as a greedy or avaricious goal, but when looked at creatively, profit changes into a positive element for all. It is time we began to get comfortable with profits and what they mean not only to our business or career, but to the community at large. We can start doing this today. In a way, thinking creatively about profit allows you to work toward a goal that touches many lives in ways you cannot begin to imagine or comprehend, because everything you buy and spend money on affects other people's abilities to create their own meaningful goals. This is true no matter what you spend profit on: a fancy car, or a new wardrobe, or a donation to charity. For my small business friends, profit was something that was not fully realized. Although revenue was strong, waste was created at every step of the spectrum across people, process, and product. Again, you can excel at any of the principles of this book one by one, but unless you can combine them all into a path for your business or career, you are touching on only a fraction of your creative potential. Therefore, my friends realized only a fraction of their potential profit and did not realize the hard-fought equity they were lacking to expand, franchise, and realize their dream of continued and sustainable growth. The creator mindset depends on viewing profit creatively and positively to allow the fruits of your labor to affect others for good. This is the fundamental shift in mentality that is required to fully grasp all the 4 Ps in a way that leads to growth and innovation in sustainable ways. At the end of the day, you must think that profit is a worthwhile goal and its pursuit a valuable, meaningful, and important task. At the end of the day, if you don't have the right people around you who are empowered to achieve creative greatness, the right process in place to allow creative ideas to become commonplace and the new normal, and if a product or service that is meaningfully understood by those who consume it, you will never get to a place where profits can benefit you and your community at large. Following the 4 Ps of the creator mindset will open up a path for you that is repeatable and enduring. It will let you weather all kinds of storms that could derail you from innovation and sustainability. At the end of the day, my 4 Ps will allow you to fulfill your dreams with the power of creativity.